everybody, so welcome back to my vlog channel. I'm actually going to start doing more vlogs like this where I just kind of sit down, sorry that's PJ, and kind of talk about something that's either on my mind or that I just want to talk about, and I don't really, want to put this on my main channel. So today I want to talk about how to deal with a situation that isn't making you happy that you have to do. I know that there are a lot of videos on how to be happy, on how to, if your job is not making you happy, then, you make steps to get a different job. But I haven't found any videos on how to deal with a situation that you have to do that just isn't making you happy. I wanted to share my experiences and ways that I feel that I can help myself. So to start a little bit, I'm going to tell you what is going on that's making me unhappy, and then that way when I tell you ways that I like to try to make it a little bit easier on myself, then you'll kind of understand a little more. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing with my... Right now, I am finishing up my undergraduate degree. First of all, I started out at a very different institution than where I am now. I was actually a transfer student. I started out at a very small, intimate, private college that I absolutely loved. I was part of a cheerleading team. I was a tutor, so I had a job. It's where my boyfriend, who is now my husband, that's where he was going. I made lots of friends, and I was really enjoying it. However, the one downside to the school was the price. So, you pay when you have such a great institution with teachers that are willing to work with you. And I did. I had professors that were willing to work with me, that really wanted to see me succeed. And when, I struggled on my first couple of tests, and when I finally did well, they would write things like, "I knew that you could always make this grade. I'm so glad that you're actually, able to pull through it," and they offered help, and it was just so kind and intimate, and it was very helpful for me because I am not diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. However, I have a very hard time sitting down and focusing on studying. There are really only like a couple of things that I can actually sit down and read about for a very long period of time, and that's really only like a book that I'm really into, or I could watch YouTube videos for a long time, but I probably won't watch the whole video. So I'm not saying that I have an attention disorder by any means. That's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is that I have a very hard time staying focused and studying on a lot of different things. And I went into college thinking that I wanted to be a doctor. So I was taking lots of hard science classes, and they were very taxing and they were very stressful for me. And because I have a hard time sitting down and like focusing on one thing for any period of time, it was very hard to study for the tests. And most times I would not study the right ways, and I would, not do well on the test because I couldn't make myself sit down and do it. Or when I did sit down, I would just like millions of things would like fly through my head, and it would just be like, oh, I gotta do this or this, oh, don't forget that, and then it's like, oh wait, I sat down to study. So there was all of those problems, and then to top it off, this is what I was kind of getting to the whole time. It was very expensive. So a private college like that is very expensive, and my parents from the beginning, they were going to help me pay for college, but then unfortunately my dad's first business fell through, and so my parents actually lost their house, and it was a very stressful time for them. They were unable to provide me with any financial help at the time, so I had to find a way to pay for the rest of my college because I was relying on my parents to pay for a portion of it, and they said, hey, we're not going to be able to do that anymore. And I actually kept getting these email notices from the office saying, hey, if you don't pay this, you're not going to be able to finish your classes, you're not going to be able to do this, and it was very stressful. So that, coupled with the fact that I was having a hard time studying, and then I ended up getting a bad grade in one of my classes at the end of my freshman year, just all coupled together, I was like, I need a fresh start. I need to go somewhere new. So I transferred to a new school. Okay, let's take completely different classes from what I was taking. So let's not take a biology class. Let's not take a chemistry class. And just do something that's easier that you might be more interested in. So I tried a bunch of different classes. I tried like a poli-sci, an art history, a psychology. I tried a bunch of different classes. And at the time I was like, oh, these are okay, but I really still think I want to be a doctor. So then the next semester I went back into the biology and the chemistry classes, and I found myself, when it came time to start studying for a test, I just felt like the world was crashing down on me and it was making me unhappy. And so this is leading up to a point here, I promise. So studying for these tests, these very hard tests in physics and chemistry, like organic chemistry and biochemistry and, anatomy and physiology, when it came time, I didn't mind going to the classes. I actually enjoyed going and listening to the professors talk. And then I would go and I would try to, review my notes, and my head would just get really full, and I would just feel like the world was sitting on top of my shoulders and pressing down on me. Like I couldn't ever study enough. That's how I felt. I would review one page and I would see I had 10 more to go, and I would just start freaking out, and mentally I would break down. And I just wasn't happy. I wasn't interested in the things that I was trying to study, and so it made it a lot harder for me to study those things. So now I'm in my last semester of college, and I have finally sat down with myself and I said, are you really being honest with yourself? Do you really want to be a doctor? And I was like, you need to figure this out. And the answer was no. It was a very hard thing because I'd wanted to be a doctor ever since I was a high schooler. But the answer was no. I don't want to be a physician. I shadowed a physician for 100 hours, and I don't want to be a physician. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to go to med school. I don't want to study anymore. And it's a very hard thing when you say, oh my gosh, these past 3 or 4 years, so close to the finish line, and say, all of this time I've been studying and kicking myself and not doing well in classes and struggling and having to retake classes. I've done all of this for nothing. And to top it off, I'm paying for it. I don't have any help. It's all me. I mean, Mike and I are married now, so technically we'll share the debt, but it doesn't really help anything because it's still, it's still on us. And, I didn't want to take that into the marriage, but how can you not if you're a student? So, it was very stressful in that regard because it's like all of this stuff that I've been working for is now completely useless. All of these classes, it's not what I want to do. I'm not interested in, biology the way that I thought that I was. I like reading articles on biological topics in my spare time, but I don't like having to study it. It's not actually interesting to me, so it makes it very hard for me to study the material to the extent that the professors want you to know it for an exam. So it's not a good situation, and I'm very unhappy with my choices so far. So that's kind of what I've been getting at, as I needed to explain to you the situation. So I'm unhappy right now. I'm unhappy not in my whole life. I'm very happy in my married life. I am happy when I'm making YouTube videos. I'm happy around my family. I love my friends, all that kind of stuff. I'm happy with where my life is going, the direction that it's headed in. But right now, my choice in my major is inevitable right now because it is my last semester, so it's something I can't run away from. And it's it's hard to get up and go to class every day and make myself learn something that I'm not passionate about. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is that it is so difficult and it's not making me happy. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with a situation that's like that? How do I deal with it? For starters, I try to balance my life right now. So like I said, YouTube makes me happy, and my school right now does not. So I try to balance my days. I wake up and I work out and I kind of tidy the house a little bit, and then I work on YouTube stuff because it makes me happy. So I start my day with something that I love. I start it by looking at Instagram, looking at Twitter, seeing what everyone is up to, and then I go to YouTube and check out how my channel's doing and check out my favorite YouTubers, and it makes me happy. It starts my day off on the right note. And I know it sounds funny. Different things make different people happy. I really enjoy the art of creating something and putting it out there for the world and everyone to see. It's just amazing to me. The process of making a video is so hard, and it's so gratifying when you make something so great and you can put it out for people. And when you see a like button, it makes me light up inside. So now I'm getting emotional. I'm gonna stop. But anyway, I start my day off with something that makes me happy. And then I proceed with the day just kind of trying to keep what that happiness brought to me. I try to keep that, with me. So I know it sounds so funny, but I try to just, not let the unhappiness bog down my happiness, as silly as that sounds. And I have found that when I work out and when I eat well, that I'm typically happier in general. And I also have found that for my particular situation, because I'm not a big fan of my major and studying for tests is just not fun to me, it works better if I just do a little bit every day. So if you have to get through something that's making you unhappy, like my situation, my advice is to do a little bit of that every single day. So instead of waiting to study for the test, start a week beforehand because you just put it off because you're just not happy about having to study, I just look through my notes once a day, and then that way I'm hoping, because there's so small little increments of times where I'm just blah, I don't want to do this, then I'm hoping that when the test comes around, I won't feel so helpless and unhappy about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would just say start your day off with something that makes you happy, exercise, eat well, and take it in little spurts, because that is what helps me. And the other thing is give yourself a break. So that's my 5th piece of advice, is on the weekends, on Saturdays, or Sundays, I pick a day and I'm I won't do any schoolwork, I'm just going to relax. And whatever that means to me, if I want to go for a walk and if I want to do a picnic, all day, nothing to do with that thing that's making me unhappy. And I feel that really does help, because it's you release yourself from that and you can separate it and say, okay, this is that, put it in a box, deal with it at its specific time, and then give yourself time to be happy and to appreciate and love the other aspects of your life that you do love. So I know that this was a long video. I hope that it helps some of you, maybe, I don't know. I'm certainly trying to get through the last little bit of my school here, with a happy face, trying to finish with my head held high, and then I will find what it is that I love and am passionate about in this life, and I will pursue it with 100% of my being. I'm gonna go. Mike and I are making ricotta gnocchi tonight, which is gluten-free, and I'm excited, and that is something else that brings me happiness, is to cook with my best friend and my husband. So I hope that everyone is having a great day, and that if you are going through something difficult and you have to get through it, that these tips will help you. And if you have any tips for me, leave them in the comment bar. And if you have any videos that you would like me to film in the future where I just sit down and talk like I did today, then also let me know that in the comments below. I hope that you guys are doing well, and I will see you when I see you.